let's get back to school. I want to ask you a couple of questions. Firstly, Melbourne Cup. We've got 24 runners. For anyone out there that's watching this show on a Sunday night or a Monday, what's the starting point? How do you start getting the field and dissecting Melbourne Cup with so many runners and whatnot?
Yeah, I mean, for me, look, it starts months and months before and following it through. But if you are coming to it late, which I think most people do.
Probably watch this show.
Exactly, that's it. I'm sure this has got, I'm sure that, once a year punters are watching this and going, how do I start on a Melbourne Cup?
Yeah.
No, I'm sure, most people have got some sort of an idea. But for me, I think if you watch those key lead-ups, especially those races that you see popping up time and time again in the form, I think with a Melbourne Cup, I think it's so important to actually watch the races rather than trying to understand it from reading a recap or looking at the bare form. I think you really need to
Replays.
Exactly. And I think replays are crucial. I mean, especially this year, the Caulfield Cup, the Bart Cummings, the Metrop in Sydney.
And you got the key international races
exactly.
as well.
And the good thing is most of their form ties in together, at least somehow. I mean, Without a Fight comes away a bit differently. Kimura's a bit different. And then, Huya Mal and Deauville Legend tend to be together. But if you can go back and watch a couple of those races, especially the most recent races and their most recent wins, then I think you get a grasp on how they perform, and then you can sort of try to make a decision from there and a determination on where they sit.
Yep, that's fair. Now, internationals. It's all about the internationals. I'm heavily invested in the internationals this year. They've got a great record in the race. How do you go about doing the international form? Obviously, you look at these races 3 or 4 months out, 6 months out, profile horses, work out who's coming, who's not coming. But the key races you watch every year heading into a Melbourne Cup?
I mean, there are key races, and there's actually quite a number of them. But there are a few different races that are likely to throw up a Melbourne Cup horse. Like the Curragh Cup, for instance. We were talking about it back in June because we knew that the likelihood was that there was a Melbourne Cup horse there. Obviously, we saw Kimura come out of that race. So that helps.
Ebor,
which is, again, and that's where I think Without a Fight is underrated because it is that Ebor course and distance. He's coming through those similar races. And if he was coming here as an Ebor winner, I think he'd be half the price he is. So, again, it's trying to figure out where these horses are coming from. The Irish St. Ledgers tends to be a race. Kimura's coming out of that, even though he didn't perform that well. The English St. Ledger this year, we're seeing Huya Mal come out of that race. So again, I think there's sort of a few different races that tend to throw up horses. And I think if you have a look at the history, I mean, you can find it on Google. There are certain races that people always watch for a Melbourne Cup horse. And I think plenty of them are represented this year.
Want to ask you about weights real quickly.
Yeah.
Obviously, weights is a huge thing. You got to get in the race as a handicap. So getting into the race is a key, but getting in with a winnable weight is also key. Is there a weight that you don't really know what I'm asking, but is there a weight that you go looking for? Do you look for the light weighted chances that are weighted well? We've got Northern Hemisphere 3-year-olds that have been weighted more this year. They got in really light in the last few years and had a great record, stuff like that.
I think weights are crucial. As a handicap, weights are crucial. But again, it is a changing beast. I mean, we saw last year all 3 place getters were right up in the weights. And so I think that the race has changed complexion, and I think the race is continually changing. So that's where it becomes a puzzle that it's not a static puzzle. It keeps developing and growing. As you said, the 3-year-olds, the European 3-year-olds, they were getting in with 51.5, 52. We're now seeing them up to 55. That said, in context, that's probably not the leap that it looks because you're not getting the same horses up the top as you once did. So it's a moving beast. I think, though, if you can find some of these horses that are in form that do get down in the weights, they're always worth a bet, and we'll get to a couple of them in a moment. But there are horses there that are racing well, that get in light, and they're always a chance.
Gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-858-858.